I just started it, sorry. But I'll record it and we'll go from there. So slopes of parallel lines are the same. Slopes of perpendicular lines are negative inverse. So that means that if the slope of my line given is, so if m equals 2 and this was given, then the slope of the perpendicular line, and this is my perpendicular thing, then the slope is going to be the negative inverse. So the inverse of 2 is going to be 1/2, and it's going to be negative. And then we're going to do the same thing we did up here. We're going to use the point slope formula. So we're going to have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So our same point that we're going to go through here is going to be y minus 0 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 5. Now, it's going to start looking a little weird because to do half of 5 is going to be a fraction, but we're going to keep it in fraction form. So we're not going to be doing a lot of different work. We can't do anything on this side. So, not yet anyway. So, according to my PEMDAS, I'm going to work on my right side. So I'm going to distribute this. So I've got negative 1/2 x, negative times a negative here is a positive, plus 5 times 1/2, which is going to be 5/2. So y minus 0 equals 1/2 x plus 5/2. Then I'm going to add 0 to both sides. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/2 is my equation that is perpendicular. So now I have an equation that is parallel, and now I have an equation that is perpendicular. So the one thing to remember is if this had not been a 0, then you're actually going to have to do some math right here and make this into a fraction, and then you're going to have to add or subtract here. So you should know how to do that, but we can now say that y equals 2x plus 3 and y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/2. These two are perpendicular lines. Sorry, it's all scrunched up. So that's given. So you need to remember how to do this, find the slope. It's going to be your change in your y's over the change in x. Or, as some put it, y1 minus y over x1 minus x. Then you have the point slope. formula where it's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Then let's say you're given 2 points. And I'm really reviewing this because it's been 5 weeks since we've done this. So if you're given 2 points, write an equation of a line. So if I was given the point 2, -3, and 5, 6. Is everybody still with me here?
Yes.
Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is you're going to find the slope. I'm trying to find some pins that actually show up. So I'm going to do, and it doesn't matter which one's my y and which one's my y1 or whatever, as long as I have them in the same order. So I'm going to do 6 minus a -3 all over 5 minus 2. Remember, if this is my one y that comes first, then this has to be my x that comes first. So 6 minus a -3, 5 minus 2, that's going to give me 9 over 3. And that's actually going to equal 3. It's going to equal my slope. And then we're actually going to come back to this formula, the point slope, because not only do I have 1 point, I've got 2 points. So I can choose this point or this point and then use my slope that I found to find the equation of a line using the point slope formula. So let's say that I use the point 2, -3, and my slope is equal to 3. So I have y minus a -3, and I'm going to put this in parentheses so I don't lose that negative here. Equals 3 times x minus 2. So y minus a negative is going to be y plus 3 equals, and now I'm going to distribute this 3 across and have 3x minus 6. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So y is equal to 3x minus 9. So don't let this scare you. If you're given 2 points, work with what you know. You know how to find a slope. You know that we have a slope point formula, point slope formula, either way you want to put it. So I can just put it into here and then work it out. And then if you're asked to find an equation of a line that's perpendicular to this or one that's parallel to this, then you can do that. So don't get real freaked out when it's asking you to do stuff. If you have to do multiple steps, then that's fine. Do your multiple steps. Just take it one step at a time as you're going through. Any questions about that? Your distance formula is going to equal, the distance is going to equal I always write it like this, but the book puts it in the other way. The book does it as x minus x1 plus y minus y1. And these are squared. So the distance formula is pretty much like c squared equals a squared plus b squared, but you're actually just doing the difference here. You're squaring the difference in your x's squared plus the difference in your y's that are squared, and you're finding the square root of that. So a lot of times these will not come out even unless you have like the square root of 25, the square root of 36, which is fine. Unless it comes out evenly, generally leave it as the square root of 8. Even though I could make this 2 times the square root of 2, and if you do it in your calculator, it's going to be 2 point something, but just leave it as the square root of 8. Because then if you have to go back and do some work, it's just easier to work with a square root like this. Because some of them may have, you know, if you have the square root here, then that's fine. Instead of doing 2 point something here, do 2 times the square root of 2. Okay, let's see what's in the next section that we did. Does anybody have any questions while I'm doing some problems that you had trouble with in homework? Because I got homework pulled up on my other monitor so I can pull it up really quick.